So about 7 years ago, I created a video that was very popular, titled Everything That Palpatine Did When Killing Darth Plagueis. I'd like to revamp that video with more information and in a bit of a different style today, all these years later. And we're going to be deep diving into some pivotal moments in major Sith history, which of course entails the betrayal of Darth Plagueis by his apprentice Darth Sidious. The betrayal happens after decades of plotting and manipulation. Plagueis and Palpatine had finally maneuvered the galaxy to the brink of chaos, ready to reap the rewards of their sinister plans. On the eve of Palpatine's rise to Supreme Chancellor, the two Sith Lords celebrate their impending victory. Now, here's the thing. Plagueis actually lets his guard down, and this is something that he never should have done, because if he didn't, well, he'd still be around. You know, in Star Wars. The Sith Lord, who was obsessed with immortality, who trusted nobody, finally believed his apprentice had fully embraced their joint vision after their victory. And this is exactly when Palpatine chooses his moment. And we have to remember that Palpatine is extremely patient. He's very vicious and very, very patient. He will wait decades for the right and perfect moment, but when it presents himself, he attacks. James Luceno paints this moment in vivid detail when you're reading the book. Palpatine sees that his master is vulnerable and drunk on power, and literally also drunk. He just keeps feeding him wine. And that's when he strikes. Check out this quote from the book. Also sprawled there, Plagueis, his slender limbs splayed and elongated head turned to one side, dressed in finery as for a night on the town, and now dead, or was he? Even as Palpatine commits the act, he feels uncertainty for a moment, questioning if his master had truly discovered immortality, but the uncertainty passes quickly as he realizes Plagueis is genuinely dying. Palpatine observes, this was no Sith trick, not an instance of feigning death, but one of succumbing to its cold embrace. The being who had guided him to power was gone. And so here's the thing that really makes this betrayal very profound. It's not done out of hate or nor anger, not purely anyways at least. It's done out of cold calculation, symbolic of Palpatine's complete embrace of the Sith tradition, which demands the apprentice surpass the master. Sidious didn't just want to take his master's power, he wanted to completely eradicate his master's legacy, to humiliate him. That's why he chose such a cowardly method, killing him as he slept, vulnerable and defenseless, the ultimate insult to Plagueis' ambitions, who was a man of great importance, many accomplishments. Luceno further illustrates this act when Palpatine mockingly addresses his dying master. Plagueis the Wise was no longer wise. He had grown careless and complacent. So right here, this isn't just really a murder, it's poetic justice from Palpatine's twisted viewpoint, turning Plagueis' greatest strength, his mind, into his greatest weakness. So when this Plagueis novel came out, rewatching that scene in Revenge of the Sith where Palpatine is relishing in his own betrayal, it really makes you see what he did from the novel and kind of through his own mind of what he's thinking about in that moment. The scene itself is very vivid in the book, and Plagueis is lying sprawled and helpless, his respirations slowing as Palpatine contemplates the broader meaning of his death. And here's the quote. Two beings in a galaxy of countless trillions, but what had transpired in the suite would affect the lives of all of them. Already the galaxy had been shaped by the birth of one, and henceforth would be reshaped by the death of the other. This quote, it summarizes just how significant this betrayal is. Palpatine didn't just kill Plagueis, he reshaped galactic history with this one single murder. The death of Plagueis wasn't the end, it was the true beginning of Darth Sidious as we know him, and the rise of the Sith. Another key insight here that I want to talk about is why does Palpatine kill him right before ascending to power? I feel like it's symbolic that Palpatine waits until Plagueis has achieved everything that he wanted, then strips it from him at the peak of his triumph. By doing this, Palpatine isn't just replacing Plagueis, he's redefining what it means to be a Sith Lord entirely. He rejects immortality as Plagueis imagined it, embracing instead a legacy of complete control and absolute power. Here's another cool piece from the book that really shows the sheer arrogance and cruelty of Palpatine's thoughts as he watches Plagueis die. The moon might have lived another 100 years unchanged. He might have lived forever had he succeeded fully in his quest. But in the end, though he could save others from death, he had failed to save himself. This moment clearly echoes into the prequels. It influences how Palpatine manipulates Anakin, offering false promises of immortality that ultimately lead to the fall of the Jedi Order through Anakin's hands. Palpatine learned firsthand from Plagueis' failures and knew exactly how to twist that knowledge to manipulate Anakin. His betrayal of Plagueis is so dark because it's layered with irony and poetic justice, just like George wanted. It's poetry, it rhymes. He uses Plagueis' own ambitions against him, humiliating his legacy and cementing his own rise. This brutal act symbolizes the true nature of Sith philosophy, that basically the strong must overthrow the weak, and in this moment Palpatine proved himself the strongest Sith of all, the stronger of the two. And all while this is happening, Maul is killing Qui-Gon Jinn and then losing to Obi-Wan. So why did Palpatine really kill Plagueis in his sleep? Because he wanted to send a very powerful message, not only to Plagueis but to the galaxy. It wasn't just about murder, it was about domination, control, and redefining Sith tradition in his image. I also think it's funny that he takes the golden statues from Plagueis and puts them in his office, and it's just like, in Legends actually, he had his lightsaber in one of the vases in his office, which that one wasn't particularly from Plagueis, but those gold statues, the Dwarty, those are actually from Plagueis himself. I hope you enjoyed this second edition, this addition, volume 2 to that original video I did so many years ago. And I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Do you think Palpatine was right in believing Plagueis would never have shared power? Or was Palpatine simply following the brutal logic of the Sith? How might the galaxy have been different if Plagueis had sensed this betrayal was coming? And heck, maybe he's still alive. Maybe he had achieved mastery of death. I remember when The Force Awakens was coming out, that Plagueis was actually supposed to be Snoke, and then they changed it. Would you want Disney to bring Plagueis back in the present time, after the sequel trilogy? Or do you think they're just going to ruin his story like they kind of have done everything? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit like if you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't subscribed already, well, I'd be honored if you join us. Until the next video, remember, the Force will be with you always.